Welcome to the UK PTs podcast, where we delve into the world of personal training one episode at a time. Here are your hosts, Joshua Mullen and Mark Laws.
Okay, Robyn, welcome to the UK PTs podcast. You are one of our, hallowed guests. So we're going to start off with the first round of the podcast, which is called the 27 Club. If you don't know what that is, basically we're going to have 3 rounds of 9 questions, like a quick fire round, and you're going to have 10 seconds to answer each question. Okay. I know it's daunting. It's probably the most difficult thing that's ever been done since a PT qualification. And Mark, I believe you are on the first round.
Yes, mate, I am. Robyn, are you sitting comfortably?
I am. I'm ready for this. Ready.
Too ready. So round 1 is based on your education. As Josh said, you have got 10 seconds per answer, including my time for my question. However, if you can get each one done in under 10 minutes, then you'll probably be ahead of most of our guests.
Okay.
Question 1. Robyn Drummond, in what year did you qualify as a personal trainer?
2015.
And who was the education provider?
Fitness Education Academy.
How long did it take you to qualify?
2 years.
2 years. What was the last bit of CPD that you completed?
My Pilates course.
Was that recently?
Yeah, very recent.
Cool. What is the next bit of CPD that you've got your eye on?
Finishing the Advanced Coaching Academy with Phil.
Cool. What is the highest level of qualification or education that you have?
Well, I'm currently doing a master's and obviously then about undergrad, my bachelor's.
Cool. What was that in?
Sport, fitness and coaching. And I'm doing physio now.
Nice. Do you think a personal trainer should ever be reassessed? And if so, how often?
Yes, and I think as much as every 2 years because of how things are changing.
Good answer. What skill did you gain on your PT course that you use most often today?
Communication, professionalism.
And lastly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at your job?
About an 8.
An 8. Solid. We're bang on time as well. Look at that.
Woo!
Look at that. Nice. Josh, let me get my stopwatch ready. Oh, my stopwatch is still running from last time. So on 112 hours. That was probably how long it took Gary Mendoza to ask one of his questions.
That was how long Marvin took to answer the
And Marvin, yeah. Right. I'm ready when you are, Josh.
Oh, let me just warm up. Okay, so Robyn, round 2 is all about the industry. So name the most underrated person, product or thing in the fitness industry.
Resistance bands.
Nice. Name the most overrated person, product or thing in the industry.
Meal plans.
Ooh, fire. Which book should all personal trainers read?
See, I thought about this one. I would say anything again on communication.
Nice, okay. Foam rolling, yes or no?
Nah, I can't be bothered doing it.
For how long did you do gym hours before being exclusive as a personal trainer?
5 years.
Nice. Which common fitness myth do you wish you could debunk forever?
Probably carbohydrates don't make you fat.
That's a good one. That's why I'm eating a big bowl of fruit.
I love carbs.
Carbs are life. What is the best piece of work-related advice you've ever been given?
Always know why you're giving a piece of advice to someone. If you don't know why, then don't give it.
Nice, I like that one. Who would be your ultimate fitness industry podcast guest?
Oh, see, you've asked me fitness industry. Maeve Maiden.
Okay.
She's really cool. She's fabulous.
Maeve Maiden.
Yeah, Maeve Maiden. You need to go in. She's just a bundle of joy.
Just like me and Mark.
Yeah.
And then final question, what are your favourite 3 exercises?
Lat pull down. Definitely. Remaining deadlift has to be. And probably a split squat, but that's a love-hate relationship though.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But yeah, those 3.
Nice, that's round 2 finished. Mark, over to you.
Robyn, round 3, and we're getting a little bit more personal.
All right.
You just wait, brace yourself. Cats
I
or
am
dogs?
braced.
You're braced. Cats or dogs?
Yep. Cat.
Favorite city that you've ever visited?
Reykjavik.
Ooh. If you could attend any concert, dead or alive, who would be performing?
See, I'm going to be different here. I'm going to say Cosmic Gate.
Cosmic Gate. What was the last TV series that you watched or streamed an episode of?
It's so bad. Jenny and Georgia on Netflix.
Oh my God, Robyn, you should have
So
lied.
good. Why? It's so good.
Okay. If you could choose anybody to play you in a movie about your life, who would it be?
Terry Crews.
I know this one. No, I'm boring. I don't know actors.
I'll give you could have Courtney Cox.
Okay, thank you.
No
By the
problem.
way, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah, it's because I know what's coming in a minute, so I'm just trying to butter you up. Tea or coffee, and how do you take it?
Has to be a gingerbread latte from Costa.
Ooh. If I could give you the power of time travel, would you go backwards to speak to your ancestors or forwards to speak to your descendants?
Back the way.
Go back. Would you rather shag a goat but nobody will ever know about it, or not shag the goat but everybody will think that you have?
Has to be not. Obviously.
You say obviously. Some people have gone the other way.
I know. I have listened.
Finally, Robyn, give us one thing that is still on your bucket list.
To see orcas somewhere in the world.
Cool. What about in a can of tuna?
Preferably not.
Preferably
not.
Preferably swimming in the
Yes.
wild.
Yep, somewhere. Not in a tin.
Beautiful. Robyn, you are now part of the 27 Club, and a t-shirt will be winging its way to you in literally weeks when we get round to finally sending them all out.
That's terrible. But thank you. I feel very honoured.
You should be. I think you're in the first 20 people.
Yeah.
Well, this is what shows this. This is 19, isn't it?
I believe this is 18.
18. So show 18, but we did have Nick and Ant on together, and we had Ross, John, and Sabrina on together. So you're in you're probably the 23rd person in the world that's going to get one of these t-shirts.
Oh, that's amazing. Such a privilege.
It's better than that, Robyn. You were being sarcastic there.
Quite possibly.
I feel like you're not appreciating that enough.
No, I am very grateful for today's opportunity. And to be asked questions like shagging goats.
I mean, come on, we talk about the topical, pulse, finger on the pulse issues that everyone's asking in the fitness world.
Yeah, that's
topical.
Totally like.
There's people lay awake at night wondering which side of the fence to sit on with the goat question.
The scary thing
I will be.
Is.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Anyway, we digress. Robyn, I'm going to say this in the nicest possible way, but if someone flicks through the list of guests that we've had on, and you look at people like James Smith and a Phil Lurney, Ben Coomber, I think you wouldn't disagree with me if they then look down and they go, Robyn Drummond. Who the fuck is Robyn Drummond? And the point I'm trying to make is that from a global educator's perspective, just like me and Josh, you are a nobody. However, in terms of for the PT on the streets who is trying to improve their business, for me, you represent everybody. So just because they maybe don't know your name yet, I genuinely think that this will probably be the most useful and the most impactful podcast that we are yet to record. So if we rewind, let's go back 13 months.
Yeah.
So we're looking at like February, March 2020, before anyone knew what a lockdown was, or before anyone had ever heard the word furlough, or before we even knew who Matt Hancock was. Just talk to us about your personal training business that would have been about 4 or 5 years old, but just talk to us what it looked like in terms of what you were doing, how you were operating, etc.
So actually, at the time that you've kind of described, like February, March wise, so I actually left the gym in December 2019 as an employed instructor. I've never been a self-employed PT, never. Like, I've never actually really been a PT. Like, I've been more of a fitness instructor. So December 2019, I left, and I actually left and moved into the NHS as a physiotherapy assistant. So I don't think a lot of people know this. But at that point, I still stayed self-employed to teach fitness classes. And now when I say that I taught fitness classes, it's not the typical fitness classes that you would have what you would associate with group fitness. What I had tried to, so what the type of classes I'd done was take kind of common issues, and that's obviously been like women weight loss, not weight loss, weightlifting. So like women don't want to lift weights. So what I did was I was like, okay, well, let's create a studio environment of a community of women lifting weights with me there, do you know? So that was the type of classes that I did, was more kind of strength and conditioning type of classes. So anyway, that was really it. Taught only 6 classes a week, was part-time with NHS, did physio as a physio assistant, and it was a great job. And then that's when obviously the pandemic kicked off. But that's kind of where life was at. I wasn't actually doing very much at all with regards to fitness. It was just 6 classes a week. That was it.
So 6 classes a week. I don't know what the going rate up there in Scotland is, but what we're talking, that's probably about 100 quid a week or something. Yeah,
like I'm sure it was about £500 a month. Like, yeah, that was it from that. So wasn't very much.
And the assistant role for the NHS, that was paid and salaried, or was that like an internship?
So it was paid and salaried. At that point in my life, I had no intentions of studying physiotherapy at this point that we're describing. It was one of these things that just, again, like miraculously came out of all this. So I started as a physio assistant, working in the community, and and that was a paid salary role.
And was that, I mean, forgive me for being nosy, but no. I'm going to get a lot nosier over the next hour or so, as will Josh. But did you move into the NHS role because that was, I don't know, like more stability? It was a little bit more money, or was it just because you got bored in the gym? What was the reasoning?
I think the biggest thing that happened was there was no further kind of development within the company that I worked for. I think the problem is like I worked for that company for 5 years. So I just started as a level 2 gym instructor, like with no qualifications, no experience. And I worked my way up and worked round so the kind of council community centres, like there's lots of them. So I've worked in a few of them. And I got to the pretty much highest point that I could with being under gym manager. And I was never going to be gym manager because the individual who was in place was not going to be leaving, like at all. Like it was quite obvious. So nothing else like at that point in my life that like I could progress on to do. And I taught a lot of exercise referral stuff. So I did work quite closely with NHS with regards to exercise referral, and I loved it. Like I loved how you can basically help people with medical conditions or those in pain. And I think there was that quite like that middle ground of interest between fitness, and then that's kind of where physio now comes into it. So yeah, there was nothing else like to do. You know, I wouldn't have been I say this, at that point, I wouldn't have probably thought about being a self-employed PT because I didn't think I was probably good enough to be one.
Wow.
So that was probably my perspective at the time, as I wouldn't have gone self-employed because I didn't think I was one of those PTs. So
yeah.
But now that would maybe change.
So if we pretend that the last 12 months hadn't happened, let's say if us three are sitting having this chat in January, February 2020, if we look like your internal perception of yourself was that I'm not good enough to be a personal trainer and I probably don't have what it takes to be self-employed. I need a bit of stability on a real nice, just modest salaried role that I know I get paid on the 28th every month, and once I've paid my bills, this is my amount of pocket money to play with. But you almost were holding yourself back from being a PT and from being self-employed because you had that, I don't know, a self-doubt. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, entirely. Like I witnessed a lot of self-employed instructors like around me thinking like, what do they have that I don't? Like what makes them good and what differentiates me from being able to do that? But I wouldn't have done it. As you say, like you need to be able to have that kind of stability. And that's why I was quite comfortable being employed and having that small bit of self-employed stuff. But my self-employed stuff was I really enjoyed it, like as opposed to just being an extra £500 a month. I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, it was a lot of self-worth, like wouldn't have thought I was good enough to do that or had what it takes to do that. So I wouldn't have done it.
Cool. On my last question before I hand over to Josh to identify your current situation, and then we'll join the dots between the two. You just said something along the lines of you looked at other self-employed PTs, you compared yourself to them, and based on your analysis of you not having some of the things that they had that would hold you back, what were some of those things that you thought they had that you didn't, or that you thought you needed but you currently didn't have? What were some of the things that you were allowing to hold you back?
Probably like education or like knowledge or like this perception that you had to have X, Y, and Z, I guess, like to do that. Trying to think of a few like in mind, because I mean, don't get me wrong, there is fantastic PTs that worked for a company, absolutely fantastic, but they'd been in the company for a long time, like they'd done the role for like a long time, they'd had great knowledge. But then it's so silly thinking that, because I'd been in the industry for 5 years, like, and done X, Y, and Z, but I don't know, maybe guessing like that I'd only done 5 but they'd done 10, you know, or like I'd only done this but they'd done a level 4. So like not being at a level that didn't maybe exist, like it was maybe my just perception of that. So that's I've got lots of little sort of
biases in place here, things that I think, and you're definitely preaching to the converted, and that I think a lot of those things were almost just invisible barriers that you pulled down, and then you kind of, whether it's deliberately or accidentally, sort of consciously or subconsciously, we're all guilty of it. To this day, we still do it. But I think a lot of early personal trainers early on in their career will often look at other PTs and go, well, I've only got 5 clients, he's got 50, therefore he must be 10 times better than me. I've only been doing it 2 years, he's been doing it 10 years, he must be 5 times better than me. I get the bus to work, he's got a Mondeo, he must be 10 times better than me, or whatever it is. We kind of build these like invisible barriers as to why we can't do things that we think other people are doing for some magical reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all in your perception though. Like it's like no one's telling you these things. Like it's the way you perceive situations. And actually, very interestingly, this is now something I'm currently working on, is like potentially revisiting situations that happened and then trying to change the perception of that situation to create better feelings towards them. But comparison is the thief of joy, completely the thief of joy. And I think no matter what stage in your career that you're at, you will be faced with it, but you can't be. Do you know, it's like me saying, well, I've only got 4,500 followers on Instagram versus someone that's got 10. Like, but you know, like I have to remember as well that I might have a really kind of smaller community, but like 1,000 people is a lot of people that would go anywhere that I go, or they would attend any event that I would attend. But having 10,000, you might not even have 200 out of that would do that, you know? So yeah, you have to really try to rationalize your thoughts.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
I mean, and that brings us up to say the current day, and you've now accidentally got over 1,000 clients. I don't, last time I looked, it was 1,400 or something. You probably know more accurately.
So at the moment, there's just over 1,200 on the group, which is unbelievable, because as you say, it was a complete mistake. Not a mistake as in like it was a bad mistake, but like it was never planned, or it was never like, life was never meant to be like that. Do you know, it was never ever planned to be this way.
And that's the thing for me. I mean, when I look at your Instagram page, your personal Instagram page has got like, I don't know, 1,000 or so followers. Your business page, 4 and a bit thousand followers. So to convert that and to have almost 25% paying customers from your overall followers, that is, I don't know, I'm no marketing genius, but I'm pretty sure that is a ridiculously high percentage, considering you look at people who have got 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 followers. They don't have 25% of them in a private group. So to me, that just says there must be more to it than just all of the marketing bullshit and the sales scripts and all that sort of stuff. There must be more to it from a quality perspective rather than just looking at a quantity perspective. But we'll go through all of that. Josh, over to you. You can pick Robyn's brains about her current situation.
Well, you kind of just question blocked me a little bit there. You know, you kind of just threw in the numbers. That's not cool, man.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all
I
good.
got carried away.
I know, you always do. It's fine. We've got the relationship now. It's fine. So, Robyn, for anyone that doesn't know at the moment, so as Mark said, you know, you were a gym instructor, physiotherapist assistant, and then lockdown hit, and you set up a private Facebook group. And could you tell us a little bit more about how that came about, what it was and what it is now?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I was quite late to the online party. Like I was really, because I guess at that point, because I'd been so knee deep in NHS and then like been in pandemic, I was like this anxiety ridden mess, like complete mess. And the last thing I wanted to do was go online because I thought I can't put myself in front of like a camera, I just can't do it. So anyway, because I'd been teaching in the centres, I had a small following. My classes were busy. And maybe like 25 to 30 people came along. That was it. So basically it was one day in March, it was in May. It wasn't until May that I'd actually decided to do this. It was my really, really good friend that basically kicked me up the arse and was like, you need to do something. Like, mate, come on. Like, you can't be sitting the way you are. Like, you have to do something. So anyway, I thought, you know what? It'll keep people busy. It'll just like the 20, 30 people that came to my classes, like I'll start this group for free and I'll just do 1 or 2 classes a week. That was it. There was 20 people in the group and that's where it started. So yeah, and that's where it all began. 20 people.
So,
and it was free.
At what point did you decide to start charging for the group, and what were you initially charging, like after the free phase?
So I think it was very quickly that I'd obviously made the group chargeable, because technically at that point I'd lost my self-employed income, and to be honest, when obviously you're employed and self-employed, the government wasn't going to help you anyway, and to be honest, I wouldn't have probably tried to get that because other people needed it more. So I quickly I was like, do you know what, let's make it £10, and then if that's obviously 20 people, I'm somewhat building back the money I've lost. And it's always been £10. Like it's actually never ever changed. So I kept the cost exactly the same, made it a tenner, because at the end of the day as well, like we're like, this is our first lockdown. Like people be losing jobs, like people are so uncertain about like their financial situations. I was not in a position to be like, right, let's make money out of this. Do you know, there was not even the intention. But what I'd kind of said was, if I make it £10, then I will bring you more. Do you know, it wasn't just 3 classes anymore. I will bring you more content. I will teach you more classes. I will be there for you more, having that charge. And that's exactly what it did.
So let's progress. So you said that was in May. Let's go forward like 3 or 4 months now, and you're starting to gain some traction. When did you start to think, holy fuck, this is going to be a game changer?
I was actually thinking about this today, and I don't even think it would have been like around kind of 200 members. At that point, I was like not probably thinking like that. Probably around the 400 or 500 members, you're starting to go, all right, okay, something's happening here. Because bearing in mind, I'm still employed by the NHS. Like I still had a job, like a part-time employed job. So I was faced with an ultimatum, being like, do you work and not give the group as much as you can give, or do you give that up and give the group everything? And that's what I did. Handed my notice in.
Wow.
And it scared a lot of people. I had a lot of opinions around me on my choice, because at the end of the day, I've got mortgage, I've got a house, like got things to pay for, car, like all the usual nonsense. And I was like, do you know what? Like something's happening here. And I think the things that seem scary, you know, like that feeling that fills you with fear, you know something good's going to happen. Whether it does happen or not, but you have to kind of act upon that, like that feeling of like, holy God, like what's going on here. I just believe that, like I could recall so many times in my career that I felt like that kind of anxiety feeling in your tummy, and you're like, oh my God, this is so scary. Like you have to act upon that, because I totally trust it. So that's basically roughly around the kind of 400 or 500 mark. And I was also faced with that situation where I left my job, my employed job, for a Facebook group.
Sorry to interrupt quickly, but when you say you had like a lot of opinions, negative opinions, and people that were maybe questioning your decision, was that from like close friends and family members, other colleagues, or from clients?
So I kind of bit both. My partner Liam, bless him, is always just like, you're mental, you do what you want anyway, and like you don't listen to anybody. And he's true. Like he just nods. He's like, yeah, okay, like you go do what you need to do. And I was like, and I trust that. Whereas there was concerns from people close to me that, like, don't know, what happens if it goes wrong? Love stuff like that. What if, like, what happens if it goes wrong? And I was like, okay, well, go get a job.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go back to any, like, I'll go back. Like, like, stuff like that. Like, what if it goes wrong? Or, like, what's going to happen if? And, as responsible as I can be at times, I really don't think that far. Like, because if it all goes wrong, then you just do it when it happens. Easy.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But you don't know until you've tried. This is the thing. Like, how are you going to know if it's going to go wrong? Like, you don't. Like, so you may as well try. And if it goes right, then fabulous. If it goes wrong, oh well, start again.
Yeah, well, it's perfect as well. I think Josh, a couple of sessions ago, episodes ago, sorry, the same topic came up. It's like, what is the worst that's going to happen? It's not like you've just taken out a 50 grand loan to convert your attic into like a Hollywood studio. Like, you literally just giving up a couple of grand a month from a salaried job, and you've already got 2-3 times that coming in. Worst case scenario, if it all goes tits up tomorrow, you've got a month's salary in your pocket, so you've got a month to find a job and pick up where you left off.
That's exactly it. You can't think of like the what ifs. Like, I mean, some people could say that it's quite irresponsible in some degree, because like you could have commitments. Like, I totally get it. Like, we have, but so do I. Like, I do. Like, I have a house to pay for. Like, it's not like I'm renting somewhere. I've got a mortgage for a house. So there is commitments that I have that, like, yeah, things could go wrong, but you don't know until you go for it. So it's always worth going for it and seeing what happens.
You're muted, Josh. You've muted yourself.
I sneezed, so I muted my microphone and I forgot to unmute it. My bad. So I was going to say, like, when I set up PT Toolbox in 2013 and left my job, my paid job, so many people said to me, "Oh, it's a bit risky, self-employed. Oh, blah, fucking hell." And I always find that it's the people that have never taken any risks are the ones that are so risk averse, and they're going, "Oh, but what if you break your leg and you can't deliver sessions, and then you get hit by a bus, and then your house burns down and all this stuff." And I'm like, fuck's sake, like, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'll go and get a job a year from now.
Absolutely. But this takes me back to like the start of my career, and I think this is really valuable. When I decided to do my level 2 gym instructor, I think that was, as I said, about 2015, and I had worked from 16. Like, I have no school qualifications, by the way. Like, none. I don't even know how I got into a master's. Like, I still question that every single day. I don't have a single higher or A level or whatever they're called. I still don't even know how I got my bachelor's either. But anyway, so like from kind of the age of 16 up until 2015, I basically worked in hospitality, like McDonald's, Nando's, like. But actually, I worked my way up in the catering industry and ended up being an events manager, which was fabulous. Now, I had a really good job, like really, really good job for quite a prestige like place in Edinburgh. And I did my level 2 at the time. And I basically, as obviously gyms do, they take on gym casuals, like, and obviously 0 hours, like no benefits, nothing, as in really when required. So this was a point as like, was maybe like 17, 18, but I had a banging salary, like for being that age. It was like fabulous. And I left for a 0 hour contract gym, like casual, and again, at that point, there was a lot of opinions, and like, you shouldn't do this, blah, 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 blah. Like, but had I not done that, look at what's happened, from like then till now. So I literally gave up a 35-hour amazing job role, which to someone would be amazing, but to me it wasn't, for a 0-hour contract in a gym for a casual with no gym experience, none. Like, so I think that's maybe when my risk-taking adventures had started. But again, if I hadn't taken that risk, who knows what would have happened then. So, but then look what has happened. So yeah, you've got to take risks.
Was that leap into level 2 and then the 0-hour deal with the gym, was that because it was just something that you enjoyed so much, as opposed to managing events and stuff like that? It was well paid, but then you've got like stress, or I don't look forward to Monday morning, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that job was the type of job that you would just wish it was Friday, and I hated that. And I started to, as I kept going on, I was like, like I just didn't want to be that person that was like, hated the whole like 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, just wished it was the weekend, like same cycle all over. I just can't stand that. But yeah, I loved the gym. Like I trained from the minute I could get into the gym, like whatever age, and I absolutely loved it. And it was the same gym that I worked in all my life, like for my whole career, and it was the same gym I trained at. And I got to know the instructors, really, really great instructors. And that's where I progressed in from the minute I walked in as a participant to leaving in 2019. And I really, really loved the gym. Yeah, I still very much do. So yeah.
Amazing. So going back to when you were like, let's say just about to hit 500 members, what were your biggest challenges with the group between 0 and say 500 members? What were your biggest challenges?
Doing it on my own.
Yeah.
like I don't think people realise like how much work goes into managing a very organised and successful Facebook group. Like at that point, again, I was very reluctant to allow anybody to take my baby away from me. I was like, no, this is mine. This is a big lesson I've learned as well. And at that point I was like, I'm not getting anybody to help me do anything. Totally don't advise that at all. And I think at that point it was like totally trying to manage it all on my own was a challenge. But then I had time because I didn't have a job, so so I had time. But yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest challenges. And I think as well as like even now, like I put so much time into making sure every single person feels valued, like they're not just a number on the group. So from every comment to engagement to just keeping things fun and interesting, like I did put a lot of time into it. So yeah, probably managing it on my own was the biggest one. Yeah.
Right. So if you don't mind me asking, what sort of things would you then, or have you started to delegate to other people?
So this was a really fun part. Was at first it was obviously my best friend who like basically kicked me up the arse and was like, you need to do something. She is also an incredible person, like incredible. She has worked for years in the leisure industry, like at managerial level. So anyway, but she was also my best friend. And I was like, you're never helping me. I'm not allowing you to do it. You're my best friend. This is going to come between us. We're not doing this. So anyway, she now works for me. And it's actually the best thing ever. So you getting to work with your best pal, like on something that you love doing every single day. It's amazing. Like it's so much fun. It's actually enjoyable. So delegation wise, Lindsay just does things like the admin side of things. She'll maybe delegate any kind of personal questions that come in through Facebook Messenger, like any fitness related stuff. It started becoming quite a valuable process to Lindsay. So she actually bought her level 2 recently to do that as well. So she'll be in a kind of coaching position that she could give the information if needed. So yeah, just the admin stuff. the not so exciting stuff on my part. Yeah, making postage labels and just organising memberships.
Nice.
That's quite a job, obviously.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So, where are you now with the group? Like, what sort of numbers are you at? What are you looking at next for kind of development? What's your path looking like in the future?
So when is this going to be posted? Because I could maybe tell a secret, but I don't like. Depends when it's going to be posted.
What day is it today?
And I can maybe tell you my secrets.
Latest Friday.
Oh, it might be too soon. So obviously got to point recently. So numbers are sitting about kind of 1,200 on the group, which is fantastic. And it's coming to a year since like May, basically. And there is obviously that fear that like, obviously lockdown is coming to an end and like people are going to go back into like normality or whatever that's going to look like. And people can become stagnant, they can become bored. So probably all I would say is I've definitely made a great investment recently that is going to allow people to have another option for doing workouts, which is going to be very exciting. Not the most obvious one, but maybe like the second most obvious one. More suitable towards my demographic, if that makes sense. So yeah, which is very exciting. And that's probably all I can say, because otherwise I'll just ruin the surprise.
So is it going to be Herbalife or Juice Plus we're going to be selling?
Don't even get me started. It'll be both. I'm joking. I'm only joking. So yeah, neither of those. But it is exciting. So definitely there has definitely been, there's going to be a step forward. So it could be a Facebook group forever, but the thing with that is it'll always be a Facebook group, like no matter what, because that's where it started. And it's wonderful, but you actually can't sleep at night thinking that Facebook could just shut Facebook down. Like it could, what happens if Facebook doesn't like groups anymore? Do you know, it's like, look at Instagram creating rooms and stuff like that every single day. And we've got Clubhouse, we've got X, Y, and Z. So tomorrow Facebook might go, nah, I don't like groups anymore. I'm going to create something else. And I'll go, that's my entire business. So there becomes a point where you actually have to just breathe and have stuff elsewhere as well as. But yeah, there's definitely an advancement and it's very exciting. Scary. Cost me a lot. And it's exciting.
I think that's a really good move. So obviously I've got UK PTs and PT Toolbox, and yeah, I'm very conscious, same as you, every day I think, man, what happens tomorrow if Facebook do shut us down? Well, because I don't know if you've seen it where if somebody comments in the group and then you get flagged as the admin and it says this is against your terms and conditions, and I'm like, fuck, what if somebody makes a comment about something and they shut the group down? But then, you know, a lot of the time,
yeah, it could happen. I always have this fear that someone's going to report me because they don't like me. Like they might just think, I don't like you, I'm just going to report your Facebook group. And you just don't know. Like you just, honestly, I've seen things happen. Like I don't know, like Jonathan Goodman has just lost his platform on Instagram, like, and his following was like, I mean, I know we talk about followers if like they're not the end of the world, but you're a good 75k, like, and that's a good following that he had built. And it just shows you that like doing stuff on platforms that you don't own can be a very dangerous territory.
What happened with his platform, do you know?
I don't know how it happened. I just seen the story at the right time I needed to see the story. And I thought, okay, that was the decisions were correctly made, because big decisions are terrifying. And yeah, but I don't know how that happened. But it just shows you do need to, and it's funny because we're talking about what if, like, and I know obviously 5 minutes ago we're talking about what if, but you do need to have some sort of like, it needs to be a thought. So I started like backing everything up on an external hard drive, like get all my classes on it. Like
yeah.
a crazy
well, there's a sensible difference there between stopping yourself from ever starting something because
Yep.
of what if it doesn't work. But then on the other side of that fence is when I'm doing something, I've got some momentum. There's nothing wrong with then thinking, right, what if I need 3 contingencies in place? And I think people do it the other way around. If they get something going, they don't put anything in place as a backup just in case it goes tits up. Yet when it comes to sort of trying to get started, they find every excuse under the sun to not get going. So it sounds like you've at least got those the right way round. Just at the beginning, fuck it, just do it and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? But when you're going and you've got some momentum and you've got something, then it's only sensible to say, right, what I don't want to do is just go headfirst into a wall like probably 99% of all personal trainers did back in the first lockdown and go, oh, fucking lockdown, the gym's shut. Boris is a wanker. That fucking Nicola Sturgeon, fucking bitch. Like, I'm just going to have to sit here and wait until the gym's open, like, because there's nothing else I can do. Well, actually, there was a hell of a lot you could have done as we're sort of unfolding. But yeah, it sounds like you've got your what if priorities the right way around, at least.
Yeah, they had to be, you know, especially when the business is so large now. It had to be a priority to start thinking about like a B and maybe a C, like, you know, and just because at the end of the day, it's my content that's most valuable. So all my workouts and stuff like that, and if that disappears, that's hours and hours and hours worth. That's money. Like that's the content. So, but yeah, that's very much now thankfully under control. Slightly brave.
I would put up a good argument that as valuable as hours of like workouts and stuff like that is, I think it's you that is more valuable than that, if that makes sense. Because let's say, for example, you've got, I don't know, 50 hours of workouts that have just gone like that if Facebook shuts down. Well, I bet you could record them in a couple of weeks if you had to.
Yeah.
You could do it in a couple of days if you had to. In terms of remembering the workout plans, you could probably, do you know what I mean? You've done it once, you've done it before. If you've done it once, you could do it again. The thing that's irreplaceable, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's standing on my village green doing an aerobics class, or whether it's on some fancy website or app or whatever, I like you are the true value in the whole thing. And the beauty of that is that it's kind of, you don't have to abide by the rules that everyone else thinks they have to abide by. I have to have this, I have to have that, I have to have this software, I have to have MailChimp, I have to like blah, 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 blah. You fucking don't. You just have to be of value to enough people to a level of value to which they're going to invest for long enough, and you can have a monstrous business.
I have so much to say on this, like entirely, because I see it like now, and I'm just like, stop trying to be other people. Like, stop doing what she's doing and stop doing what he's doing. Like, what has got me to this position has been me, not somebody else, like not some like copying other tactics or whatever it may be. I also had no agenda, like, as well. Now, I have to, basically, what I mean by that is, like, the other day I seen on Instagram, like, someone had asked a question, you know, people go, like, ask me a question. And they say, like, how useful were calorie calculators, right? And this PT was like, they're terrible. They're awful, not helpful, because they want people to then go, well, what do I do? Can you help me? What? The Harris-Benedict equation. We're never going to escape the Harris-Benedict equation. And thankfully, we've got automated things that help us. Now, I'm not saying that calorie calculators are a forever solution, but it's a start point for a lot of people. Start point, estimation, rough guidance. We have to start somewhere. And I thought, you're a scumbag. Like, I was just like, you know what you're doing. And that really frustrates me. Like, people trying to hide stuff to gain from it. And we all know it. Like, we all have the same stuff. It's all the same information that we have. And I just thought that was evil, because then it's like, well, okay, then that person's going to go, well, can you help me? Like, I thought this was a really good thing. Like, how do I do it then? Well, that PT is going to go and do the same thing. So yeah. I just thought it was just really funny, but I bit my tongue. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do call people out, but I didn't on that occasion. But anyway, when it all started, I was just very true to myself. I also, another really good thing is, like, using my own experiences. Like, you'd be surprised at how many people want to actually know about the things that you've struggled with, like, because they want to just relate to you. Like, they don't want you to be some like super fit, like super athlete. It's okay if you are, but they want to have that relatable connection to you in some form. And I think if you just become a real human being, like, just be you, like, just be real. And I just think it's so valuable. Just, people are trying far too hard to be somebody they're not, where they just need to be themselves, and people actually will really buy into that, like, and they'll really pay attention. And it's not a case of like having to share your personal life to some degree. Like, I have a surface level that I share, but the stuff that I've dealt with as a female, like all the things like body issues and eating problems and stuff like that, they don't know about my day-to-day life. Like, don't talk about it very much, because that's maybe not relatable. But yeah, like, you have to be you, and I think that is just so important. And it's funny because you talk about like tactics and stuff like that. I have never like used anything to have people buy into like our program. Like, when it comes to things like adverts or like business tactic stuff, and you know, it was funny because I said this to Mark. I was like, the one thing I despise is when people go, I'm looking for 10 males like to come on my journey, and like, you know, and I just think, can we please stop using the same thing? Like, stop it. Just be you. Like, that's it. So yeah, and it's obviously clear that business coaches are using or advising similar strategies, and everybody's using them, and it's just like, well, y'all look the same now. Yeah. Like, so just people just have to be themselves.
There's that's probably like one of the most important things that we could ever get across as a between the three of us, and it's something that, Josh, we bang that drum sort of week in, week out, and I've always made a point of doing that exact thing from a like, my massive fear has always been to be worried about other people thinking I'm trying to be like somebody else, to the point where even up until this year, the amount of people, bearing in mind I've taught courses all around the world, I've delivered lectures and spoken at conferences all around the world, the amount of people that have said, that was brilliant, you should do an online group, you should do an online PT model, you should have an online mentoring program. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it because other people do it. And what the thing that would fucking tear me up inside was if someone who didn't know me just sees me pop up and go, oh, some bloke Mark Laws doing the same as everybody else, like as an online mentor, blah, 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 blah. And the only reason I've ever done any online stuff in this last year is because I had no choice. I've to contradict myself there, I've now kind of found a very small way of doing it in my way, the way I want to do it. But I can't think of anything worse than people thinking that I'm just doing the same as every other person. And when you see that, that's probably one of my what ifs that holds me back, because it's an invisible barrier. I'm guilty of my own sin there, and I'm fully aware of that. However, the thing that I think holds so many PTs back is we've gone through this wave of probably the last 5 or 10 years where if you weren't competing in a in a show, if you weren't like prepping for a show in some fucking poxy village hall in front of 7 people, like, well done, you've just won Mr. Universe in the fucking village. Like, there's 8 people entered. Like, it wasn't exactly difficult, but then people got a trophy and they're sharing that trophy. Like, it's meaningless, but obviously they're using that to try and show how good they are. And then you have a photo shoot and then share those photos all year round. I'm like, I see you every day. You don't fucking look like that. You look like that once 4 years ago. Now you're a fucking mess. But people share this persona of what they think everyone else thinks they should look like, or how they should be conducting themselves. Does that make sense? And I think
absolutely.
We're thankfully, I think now we're over the hill. We're coming down the other side, and hopefully there's a much better opportunity now for people to say, do you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be unique. Because when I was in the gym, I had to get the attention of the 30 potential clients that were in that 500 membership gym. Now, to get my 30 clients, they can live fucking anywhere. So I can be as specific and I can be as bloody much of an arsehole as I like, and I'm going to find the people that resonate with that, and they like me for being me, for want of a cheesy expression.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. And I don't know if you've seen my recent post on this, and like 2 days ago, and it was probably one of the best posts that I've actually wrote, or it resonated with a lot of people. And I think the biggest struggles that I've had, especially being a younger PT at the time, was that perception that you had to look a certain way. So obviously I competed, I did my time with bodybuilding, but that's because just what you've just said, like you think that you have to or that's the pictures that's going to make you like look good. Like I thought doing like competing and looking great and then being able to show that would bring me some form of success. Like, has it? No. But you know what has is the way I am now. Like, and that's the complete opposite of what I perceived at the time. And I think at the time as well is, so you've obviously got this perception of like you have to look a certain way in the fitness industry. And I think that's really, really hard because it's this constant pressure of having to look a certain way. And for me, the way I am is not the way that perception was. So that was really difficult. But I think in the last year, I've absolutely come to terms with that. And that's the post that I wrote was, there was a picture when we could escape, like in lockdown at one point. There's a picture of me and I'd gone to spa, right? So obviously I've got a bikini on and that. And I would never have posted this picture. Ever would have posted this picture, and I did it for the first time. And it's because I'm not got like complete abs. Like there's obviously I've got some body fat there, like my arms aren't completely toned, like I've got a bruise on my leg, it's unfiltered. And it's the most popular post I've ever wrote or had the most engagement with ever. And people want to see that, you know, they want to know that I'm a fitness professional, but I'm also normal. Like I'm just a human. Like I don't do anything like spectacular to have to eat and to train that way all the time, to have flat abs all the time. And there's no disregard to people who look like that, because it's absolutely fabulous. Like, and it's not about that, but it's this perception of like not trying to like be someone that you're not, I guess. And it's amazing when you just be you. It's amazing how much people they just want to hear that. They really, really do. They want to know that you're just normal as them and that you have the same struggles.
Again, something that we talk about, I reckon, most weeks now. And I genuinely think that if we look at your typical client, or if you look at the typical person on the street, or if you look at the typical person who needs some help and can afford a tenner, but currently is doing nothing, are they going to look at a picture of someone with 5% body fat, or someone who's lifting 300 kilos overhead, or someone who's just done a fucking kilometre in 12 seconds on a ski erg and they're puking up in the... Like, those people aren't going to look at any of those extremely impressive physical achievements. They're not going to join the dots together and think that they can do it. They're going to look at it and go, there's no point trying to go to the gym because that's what the gym is. That's what fitness is. And I can't do that. Therefore, I might as well not bother at all. Whereas if you show them, oh, actually, my gut's hanging over my trousers as I'm sitting forward. Like, actually, I couldn't be asked to train yesterday, so I didn't, and nothing happened. Like, at the weekend, I'm going to have a fucking Big Mac because I want one. Who gives a shit? Like, and if we tap into then like your insecurities and not without going too much, like the men in white coats will come and drag us all away, but just by being honest and giving people an insight into the fact that actually we're not like cyborgs, like personal trainers sent from the planet fucking Burpee to blitz you every 5 minutes. Josh is doing his robot dance again. He's good at that. Isn't he good at his robot dance?
Not too bad. About 7.
Hey, just because we said you were average, Robyn, doesn't mean that Josh isn't above average.
He's away.
He's gone.
Away. Sorry, we all can't be average, you know.
No, that's true. Some of us are more average than others. But yeah, my point being, we've now, with online, virtual, blah, 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 building communities and all that stuff, there's a better opportunity than ever to be honest, to be genuine, to be unique, to be content with what you are right now, rather than thinking you have to try to strive to be something massively different. Unless you're a complete fucking arsehole, then maybe you want to change a little bit. But do you know what I mean? For most of us, we don't need to. We can just share what we are, and we will find people. If we do that for a consistent amount of time, we will find the people that resonate with us, who buy into it, and it makes it far more achievable and realistic for them to then get started because they can relate to you as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is exactly the type of people that like are on our group, for example. Do you know, like they don't want to be running marathons. Well, maybe 1 or 2 might, but they just want the simple guidance, nothing complicated. They just want someone to reassure them it's okay if you eat something that's perceived as bad. Like, I literally eat chocolate every single day of my life. Like, it is the best. Like, we should, you know? And it's about kind of giving people the permission and the reassurance that it's okay to do these normal things and they're not going to be detrimental, as long as you're doing X, Y, and Z, of course. But there's just so many general population individuals that just struggle with the most basic stuff, like just simple stuff. And I actually find it really sad, and that's why, like, it annoys me when people are going on about calorie calculators aren't like useful. And I just think, don't know, to somebody it could be, do you know, like, why disregard that entirely when to somebody they just need somewhere to start, like, and if it's a number that gets them started, then so be it. But yeah, and I think as well, like, I bring a lot of that, my own experiences to that, and that's obviously what makes people relate to me, especially when it comes to food. Like, through bodybuilding, I got coached wrongly twice, but again, I was naive. I didn't know what was right. Like, I just thought, well, this is what I had to do, you know, to go through that. You come out the other end and you have no coach and you have no guidance, and you have disordered eating. And that's one of the scariest things then when you're on your own, because you gain like 2 stone back in like a day, and it's not great. And then it's like, for years, I was constantly then chasing this, like, want to be happy. I just want to get out of this. I just want to be happy. Like, and I don't understand. Like, someone needs to help me. And I think the only person that helped me was myself. And I think the biggest thing is now I can use that experience just to relate to. I just want to just be a normal person. I don't want to compete. I just want to feel fit. I want to be able to walk up a hill and not like struggle to some degree. I want to be able to sit on a Friday and enjoy a gin and some pizza and be like, this is the life. Do you know? Like, why should I then feel bad about those choices? Like, who is saying that they should be bad? Do you know? And I think this is where a lot of the general population people just need a wee handheld for a small while to be like, it's okay. Like, you can do that. Simple stuff, nothing complicated. Everything is so overcomplicated, and it doesn't need to be.
Not on this podcast, it isn't.
Nope. Straightforward questions anyway.
It's true.
Josh, what have you got next?
So I was going to ask about the logistics of running your group. So
Okay.
I take, like with my group, I take quite a hands-off approach. Like, I approve all of the posts and I jump in now and again, but generally speaking, it's like it's user engagement fed, you know? So what does your typical day look like when you're managing your group? What sort of stuff are you putting in there? Do you have a set schedule, that sort of thing?
Schedule is something we don't have, which we should definitely have after this time period. It's something that we're working on, but to some degree, yes, we do. So the way we do it is I keep my posts the same way you do. Like, obviously you have to approve them, because at one point they weren't on and everyone was just posting. It was crazy. So we have a post of the day, which is lovely. So that gets automated for like 6 a.m. And then it's always the kind of pinned post on the group, and it allows engagement under that. So that basically post of the day becomes its own topic. So people can go back and look at the feed, and it's quite nice because people share like their little achievements. It could be like they lost some weight, or they walked certain miles, or they had this for dinner. And people just, the engagement is ridiculously high, which I feel really lucky to have, because I know a lot of people struggle with that. But yeah, and then kind of we have a bit of a theme that runs through the group. So like on a Wednesday we post a new recipe, on a Monday we put like a challenge up. But like the type of kind of like biopsychosocial challenges. And then what I mean is, like, we talk about really random stuff like flossing your teeth. Who touches on flossing teeth, you know? Are we reading enough? Are you sleeping? Like, how's your water intake? Like, just stuff that like nobody focuses on. The big stuff, like the lifestyle stuff that really is forgotten about. So, and it always kind of creates a bit of a laugh. You know, we once tried to ask people to reduce their coffee to 2 cups a day, and everyone was like, no way, like just went wild, as if like, how dare you insult me this way? And I'm like, I mean, to be fair, that was quite you know. So we have like weekly challenges on lots of different things, and then obviously I go live on that page too. And it's obviously set times, just to keep that consistency. Consistency is the word. Like, nobody needs different times every single week. So it's always consistent. And then it's really it, to be honest. I think it then just runs itself. I don't have set times at work. Like, I just, like, if I'm free at 9:30 at night, I'm not going to ignore someone's message. Like, which I don't know, you could disagree, I guess, with that, but I'm always just on it. I guess because I really enjoy what I do. It doesn't feel like it's a hassle, or it doesn't feel like it's an inconvenience. I'm like, oh, just chatting to all my 1,000 pals. You know, like all my friends are messaging me, because we do get a lot of messages, as you'll imagine, because, and again, it's not a one-to-one thing. I do one-to-one with a very, very small group of people, about 25 clients. I kind of try and cap my number at that. And people just need guidance to find stuff, and that's really it. I won't give people the answers. And this is the biggest thing, actually, I think the group has really, really done well in, is that like too many people are spoon-fed generally in life. So when people ask us questions, we will just signpost to where that information is, and they go and do it themselves. And it's like you're teaching someone to just take that accountability to do that for the rest of their life, like rather than having someone just constantly do it. Well, here's a calculator, this is how it works. Like, there's a recipe, go cook it. Like, they're not just being spoon fed everything. Like, it's all they are, and whether or not they take it is up to them.
Like it.
So yeah, and it just all it runs really well. Like, there's never any like logistic problems. It's very smooth running. So yeah, it runs well. Now it does, which hasn't been easy though. Like, it didn't before. Like, but now we've totally nailed it. Yeah.
Nice.
In terms of actual content that people get, if I sign up today over the next 7 days, so over a typical week, what do people actually get in terms of? You said you go live. Is that like a Q&A, or is it just like an actual workout, or you've got some preset workouts? What's the actual weekly content that I will get as a guest?
So, like, absolutely everything that you could imagine. So, and which was not an easy decision to make, but when obviously like we had kind of talked about that benchmark of the group and where it had gone, it put me in a position to be like, well, I can. Like, why can't I give everything? You know, to somebody it's just £10 a month, but I've got 500 members, so I can put that content in. You know, so anyway, literally from weight loss guides, like, so I kind of refer back to calculator, how to create a calorie start point, what a real deficit should look like, not jumping into the whole 500 straight away. Like, just, we created a course which is ongoing at the moment. We're on week 5, so it's all about goal setting, realistic goal setting, about exercising for health and longevity rather than exercise. And see people that go like talk about, you know, look at calories burned on a fitness watch, and I'm like, stop, change mindset. Like, can we start exercising for strength, for like to prevent falls when you get older, strengthen the bones, like from a rehabilitation point of view, and really stressing that through the group as well. And then just teaching everything you would need to know about nutrition, but nothing like false, like just hard facts. Like, this is what carbs are. You can eat carbs. This is what protein is. Like, don't know, work towards a calorie goal and make sure you get an adequate protein. And this is why. And anything really. Not everyone wants to lose weight as well though. So we do have, like, I do 7 workouts a week. Like, but that's just about 30 minutes. So really about 3.5 to 4 hours of exercise. And that ranges from cardiovascular, but like on the top end, like as in the stuff that I actually don't enjoy the most, like totally like heart rate's 190 kind of nonsense. And then like Pilates, core classes, but proper core, not just abs, proper core. And leg sessions, like kettlebells, like dumbbell classes, resistance band classes. I love resistance bands, but not the booty bands, none of that booty band nonsense, like proper resistance bands. And so that's the kind of content wise for the classes.
So
everything is on it.
The seven classes that you do, is that one a day and it's a different theme each day, or do you bundle some of them up one a day?
So the 2 that are bundled are core and dumbbells, but they're done separately, all those 6:30 and 7 in the morning. And then Pilates and resistance bands are also done because they really work nicely together if you did want to do it as a double. But that's roughly one a day, around 30 to 35 minutes. There's a double on a Wednesday and a double on a Saturday. So it works. I'm only teaching 5 days out of 7. Yeah.
And so do you sit there and plan each of those 7 sessions on Sunday night? You plan your sessions for the week ahead, or do you do it the morning of the session? Not if it's a 6:30 session, obviously. Or do you do it like, here's 3 months worth in advance, and now I know what I'm doing? There's a theme to it, or is it more chaotic than that?
It's more chaotic. I'm going to be honest, and I look forward to. Hopefully my participants listening. But on a good week, I will plan on a Sunday. On a more chaotic week, like every week is like at the moment, probably an hour and a half before. And do you know, it's not a bad thing either, because on a Sunday, I'm always like, oh, I feel like doing this. And then I get to Wednesday, I'm like, nah, but I feel like doing this. So I have to listen to the way I feel as well, because life is obviously mental. So I do tweak how I feel, like the exercise is based on that. So yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all, because on one hand, yes, it's lovely to be organised, and like the workshop you did with me back in 2016 or something, that was a bodyweight workshop, and at one section of the course, I give people almost like a lifetime's worth of progressions of one particular thing, where we're talking about like producing and absorbing force. So give people like, look, here's a lifetime's worth of progressions. So what you could go and do is you could then go and sit out and plan a 10-year periodized program of how to go through those movements. However, A, who can fucking be asked with that? B, what happens if someone progresses more quickly or more slowly? What happens if you've got it planned perfectly and then you get people turn up who are at a higher or a lower levels? Like it has to be an evolving, moving thing. And again, I'll contradict myself a little bit here. You have to have a plan, and a short, medium, and long-term plan. However, if you understand the principles of what you're doing well enough, then you can, on the other hand, wing it and make it up on the spot, because you understand why you're doing things a certain way for a certain reason. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's really important. I think if you've really got a good solid knowledge of movement, then winging it is a plan in itself. And there is times where I'll write a session and I think, right, okay, that's fine. And then I go to look at it and I go, in the middle of teaching it, and I'm like, don't want to do that. I don't like it. I don't think that's good, or it might be too similar, or I'll just go, right, okay, I'm going to change it. And I think being able to have the ability, no matter what setting, whether it be online classes or in person, but being able to have the ability to make that decision very quickly, I think is very important. Being able to be as adaptable, as quick as that. I guess that does take experience of movement, I guess, to understand. But yeah, you have to be. So winging it is a good plan of mine, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And I was going to say something else about that. Yeah, about, I suppose, having options. Like we talk about regressions and then obviously progressive movements and stuff, and I guess it just depends what there is available on the night. So, but it's funny because my workouts aren't categorized in a beginner, intermediate, and advanced way. I actually don't really favor the categories, because, for example, if somebody's maybe got a health condition like osteoarthritis, the workouts that are perceived as beginner might be the workouts that they do for 6 to 8 months. So technically they're not. So I kind of went off the idea of using those classifications like quite early. I don't really like them. I'll just classify them on the, maybe the intensity, like low impact or stuff like that. But yeah, being able to be adaptable with options as well is really important. Do you know, for me, like plyometric moves does not suit me. It's not what I'll do them, but squat jumps and lunge jumps and stuff like that, I have really bad knees already at 25. So, but being able to say, right, okay, well, this is what you could do if you want to make it harder, whereas I'll choose the middle option. Live. I'm like, you can work harder than me. No, it's not like that. It's just like I'm not going to put my joints at risk, you know, whereas somebody might have the body type to do that, the muscle fibers they've been gifted with to do that, whereas I don't. So yeah, just about those options, I guess.
It's the perfect answer, and it's just something that I think too many people get a bit too hung up on. Like, programming, periodization, and stuff like that. And I've worked in professional sport. I've periodized and programmed an entire season of gym sessions in July that I know is going to run until April, May. I've done it, but it's horses for courses. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. And I tell you what I do also now, I do very, very few live, like, sessions. I do a couple of sessions with a young ice hockey group of players who sort of like a group of elite ice hockey players that haven't been able to go on the ice. So the coach has paid me to do 2 off-ice sessions for the last couple of months. And I've got a couple of PT clients that I work with. And sometimes when I'm going into the session with the ice hockey lads, I'll be able to do that at 6 o'clock, Monday and Thursday nights. And I'll get to like 4 o'clock while I'm finishing my day job. And I'll be thinking, I really should plan tonight's ice hockey session. And then I'll have like a little devil pop up on my shoulder and be like, nah, fuck it, do something else. So I'll be like, oh, I'll do something else. I'll go, oh, I've got an hour and a half. I really should write something down. No, don't do it, Mark. Just fucking wait. I go, okay, yeah, fuck it. Then I'll go and have a coffee and I'll go and sort of do something else. And then I'll be like, half an hour to go. I really should plan something. Don't you fucking dare. Then when I'm logging into Zoom, I'm like, the session starts in 2 minutes. I really should have a plan. Don't fucking do it. Just trust yourself. And then I'll be like, wait till they're all on. I've got 30 players on there. And I'll be like, boom. And at the end, the coach will be, that was fucking brilliant session. And I deliberately drop myself in the shit to force myself to kind of sink or swim, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely strive better under pressure than anything else. Yeah. I really do. So for example, like when I was talking about Pilates, I'm not qualified at the moment technically, but I can still practice and I'm very much sure to do that. But like I can teach. But the thing is, I kept putting it off, like doing it. And I thought, well, do you know, I literally again phoned up Lindsay, kick up the arse, just scheduling the timetable on Saturday. And I'm like, but I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, actually got to Friday night and planned a Pilates session. I've been doing it since. So, you know, so sometimes you have to put yourself under pressure and you do strive the best under it sometimes as well. Yeah, there's times where like I would have maybe been running late. No, I've never been late to class ever online, but I like to have 45 minutes before I teach to be like in the zone, like to just make sure I look okay, the room is set up, my lights are charged, everything works, like my music is there, Alex is there, like it's chaos. And sometimes it doesn't go that way though, like not always, and lights will die and the music won't work and you know, so yeah, you do strive under pressure. Yeah, definitely. I do.
Yeah. I suppose the caveat to that is that if you crumble under pressure, don't put yourself under that much pressure, plan and be organised. But there's an element of sometimes just test yourself, because the worst thing as a PT, I've seen PTs turn down business before where they've been like, they're just milling around the gym and the manager has come up and been like, oh, Brian, someone's just walked in, they want a trial PT session. And Brian's like, I haven't got anything planned. I can't do it. And I'll be like, fuck it, I'll do it. No worries. I'll do it. Boom. And I've got a client who now pays me. Brian, the PT, doesn't actually exist. That's a figment of my imagination. But you know what I mean? It's just like that. People turn down opportunities that are offered to them because they can't operate under pressure. So if you struggle with that, like just learn from mistakes and like drop yourself in the shit a little bit more each time and try to teach yourself to be able to react.
Yeah, that's how I first kind of got into teaching. I don't know if my AirPods have just died.
No, they're all right.
Oh, they're fine. They're going to die. That's basically how I got into teaching. I basically threw myself into just covering someone's class. And I was terrified to teach a fitness class. Honestly, I was so scared to do all these things. And I just went for it, you know, like just went for it. It's terrifying, but like you do perform well. And as you say, if you don't, then yeah, it's being prepared for that. But being able just to take someone on the gym floor and just be like, yeah, come on, like they don't know. you know, anything's better than nothing.
Exactly that.
Put them on the cross trainer for 20 minutes, then plan it in your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Joking.
Just do something, and while you're doing it, think of the next thing. It's
yeah.
I mean, that isn't like our lawyers would ask us to say that's not how to approach your entire personal training career forever. However, it's a skill that's crucial to have, because then if we come back to the point we talked about, the what if it all goes tits up? Well, what if? What if you're in the middle of your resistance band session, you've been planning it for 4 months, and all of your resistance bands snap? Well, now you're fucked. So what are you going to do? You can't just stand there and go, oh, fuck. I've got a problem now. No, just go, boom, right, we're going to switch it up to Pilates and deal with it.
Absolutely, 100%. You know, I've had so many disasters happen online, and at first maybe I would have taken it like I can't do anything about something I can't control, and that's something that you have to remember as well. So I have had like lives obviously cut off, and you just got to wing it. Like it's funny, you know. Now I'm just not really bothered by it, and at the end of the day, like my participants are I'm so grateful to have people that wouldn't be like, I'm leaving, that was terrible, or they don't pay premium memberships to be able to not justify why that happened. You know, like I think if it was like a £50 month membership, you'd be like, I need to do more. So that doesn't. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's not to say that I do put everything into it, but at the same time, like you can have a bit of fun when disasters happen. You know, they just happen. You just got to go with it. You just got to keep going. I've had everything happen.
Even if it does happen, just don't hide from it. Like make a joke out of it. Take the piss out of it. Take the piss out of yourself for it, sort of thing. It's a lot more like human then, isn't it? Like you're a person.
Absolutely. Totally. I mean, I've turned up hungover before, and that was great fun. And everybody thought it was hilarious. And I mean, it was not funny. And I mean, I'm in my own house, bearing in mind Friday night, and it was just like, yeah, let's have a few drinks. We're not a few drinks. I had to teach the next day, and I was like, walked up and like, I can't hide this hangover. I'm literally live in front of like so many people, and they all thought it was so funny. They all took the piss out on Instagram, actually, screenshotted the pictures of me dying. So, do you know, like, but then I'm not going to try and be somebody else. Like, that is the reality of like my Friday night, and I teach on a Saturday, so.
Exactly that. And if they're sitting there thinking, oh, I can't go on because I'm going to have a hangover Saturday morning, they see you and they go, fuck it. Like, is it the end of the world? It's a perfectly normal thing to happen. I think you get so many PTs will have that what if conversation with themselves, like, I could do this, but what if it goes wrong? And then they'll stop themselves. If you have the fuck it, I'll just do it and see what happens attitude, then you gain enough confidence that then when a fuck up does happen and you go, well, my internet, the amount of times my internet has disappeared halfway through a live session, and if I was preventing being an online coach because that could happen, I never would have done it. But then when it's happened, I've just been like, fuck it. There's no point in me worrying. It's BT's fault. It's not my fault. So when it comes back on, I'll explain to the people. If they then are so disgusted by the fact that my broadband has just gone off for 3 minutes, fuck them. However, like, they're probably just going to laugh about it. And I'd say, listen, I live in the middle of nowhere. From time to time, it might, if it does, we'll just deal with it. It's not the end of the world. And it just makes it so much easier to cope.
We just need to apply that to so many things. Just that level of attitude, you know. I would have probably cared more, maybe like in the early starts of my career, about the things that went wrong. Like I really would have really got upset by it, taken it personally. But I think you kind of build that resilience as you go. And I think the more disasters happen, the best. It's better for you to experience that. Like you become, don't know, like you just become, don't know, this is good. If this happens, then I'm used to it. I'll just deal with it, you know. But definitely didn't feel like that though, like at the beginning. But you do get better at it. Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely. Josh, what have you got left?
That's all my questions answered at the moment. We've spoken about the challenges, we've spoken about the day-to-day running of the group, we've covered everything I wanted to cover, really. I think maybe it's time for false, false, true.
I think it definitely is. I've got one last little question. Is that the 7 sessions that you do over 5 days, you do them live, and then as a live video, they stay within the group forever. So someone can come in and do it in their own time later, and you teach it sort of as an instructor. You do it, and you're talking to them and coaching them through it as you're going. Is that right?
Yeah, so all workouts are able to catch up anytime, which is a great thing for a lot of people. And I would do it as more as a kind of participant too, though. Like, so I do still do it. I don't obviously stand there and like guide. So at the end of the day, I can't see them; they can only see me. So I'd be very much doing it with them, but in a good way that I know that if people were perhaps slower in a certain move, like I'll give 10 seconds for people to catch up and yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, you can catch up anytime, which is very good for busy people.
And we've also, all right, we're close to the end, but we've kind of skipped a really big, important part, and we'll try and cover it quickly. But in terms of
that's okay,
sales and marketing, like you started it 25, 30 people who were coming to your gym geographically. They lived very close to where you were. From that point on, how did it get to 50, 100, 150? Was it word of mouth, or was it you broadcasting that you had this thing for other people to join?
So the biggest thing that has got this group where it is word of mouth, and which is a fantastic place and position to be in, that you have a business based on word of mouth. There is obviously other bits and pieces that I have done, but you'll maybe get a message being like, oh, such and such said this was really good, can I join? And that is basically the biggest way that this has grown. I think that's really important for a lot of people to realise that the more that you put into one individual customer, they're going to tell someone about that positive experience. And I think that's why, like, I can't remember who, it was such a good podcast I listened to on this. And maybe ours, Tony Robbins, maybe, I think. And basically, like, come on. And just like giving that customer the best possible experience in every single way that you can till there's nothing left to give, they will tell someone that they've had an amazing experience. And based on that, that's how the group has grown. At the start, I would kind of do like a sign up Sunday, like just post on my business page, like, this is what I do, sign up, 7 workouts, here's the links, boom. And it wasn't adverts though, like, it wasn't paid, and that was it, just really every Sunday. And business pages on Facebook are really hard, but if you learn to do them correctly, you can use them very well. And I would also say as well, like, obviously Instagram is massively important, but Facebook is something that, if anything was to get shut down, it'd be Instagram before Facebook. So I think it's really important to remember to use these things correctly as well. But yeah, there was no kind of paid adverts or anything like that. It was mainly word of mouth.
Have you ever paid for advertising?
Yes, on some degree, like occasionally maybe boosted a post.
Yeah.
Like sometimes,
but not like huge, great, big marketing campaigns or anything. Just the odd little post here or there.
Yeah, nothing major. Like, this is the thing. Like, I've not done anything major, in the grand scheme of like marketing wise. Nah. But the thing is, because I remember speaking about this on your group as well, on the UK PT page, and I think this was really important, was when I first started, like the group started growing, and obviously money started to be was going in a good direction. I think the most important thing is I put the business before myself. So, and what I mean is, like, not going out and buying an expensive pair of shoes unless I needed them for work. So, or not going and buying a Louis Vuitton bag because it's unnecessary. But going, right, okay, what's the first thing I need to do here? And the first thing was my logo. Like, and it takes me back to what you say quite a lot, Mark, about if you don't spend, like, having to spend twice, do you know? And it's a really funny thing, that, because that's my logo, and people will see that on a bottle, they'll see it on my jumpers, they'll see it. And creating a branding, not a logo, is the most important thing. Spending £300 on that at the time was terrifying. Like, that was a lot of money at that point, but it's the best thing I've ever done because people remember the logo. Like, you know, so creating a branding was the first thing I did. I didn't even mean to do it. Like, I didn't even know what I was really doing, but I knew that doing it the right way, like with investing in a proper graphic designer and not just a £15 logo like you guys have done, and definitely invest in that. And then when it was like, right, okay, like things are scaling up, what's the next thing I can do? Right, let's change everything in here. Let's make a really nice neutral background. And then I upgraded from a tripod to a better tripod, like took my lights, sold them, got better lighting, you know, and I just kept doing it, because the more you do these little things, you're putting it back into business. They know that you're investing in them, like, because you're giving better content, your quality's better, blah, blah, blah. People will stay with you when they know that, like they do. Yep. They see that you're putting it back into their quality of service. And I did all these things without even realizing I was really doing them. And I think that's really, really important. And that's why you get to the end of a tax year and you go, what have I got versus what value do they have? And I think that's really, really valuable, is that every time you can do something to improve your business, you really should. I don't even do anything like majorly. I don't have systems. Like I still use WhatsApp, Google Drive, like the board and stuff. Like I've occasionally used some fancy apps for some clients, like 3 or 4, but sometimes the old school stuff works best as well. But I think if people have an opportunity to invest in their business, they should, from an early stage. And whether that be just on simple things, don't know, getting a website looking professional, getting maybe some good headshots of you rather than it always being phone. And don't know, I have so much to say about that, but I didn't even realize I was doing it. And that's the funny thing, is I was always finding opportunities to make things better. And I think it's really important that people do, as opposed to just setting themselves up and that's them sorted. Like, you're not, you can always upgrade stuff. Like, I could upgrade my filming stuff, I could upgrade my lights, like I could keep going. So I think that's huge.
It is a mistake that a lot of people make when they do things for the wrong reason, and they're like, I'm going to charge £200 a month for my high-end training because I want to buy a Rolex, or I'm going to do this, that, or the other because I want to go and live on a beach in the Bahamas forever. And sort of, well, that's fine for you, but good luck getting 1,000 people to buy into that to give you a little tangible object that you want to have. Like, what about if, and this is crazy, what if you do everything for them and you make it fucking amazing for them, so they tell more people, they stay with you for longer, they get better results, and then at the end of it you can buy yourself a Rolex. Like, that's
exactly it. That's exactly what's happened. Like 100%. Like, I have put my own like little bits and pieces that I could buy for myself, like put it all last, because I know that at one point there'll be times in life that I can do these things, and I know good businesses take time. Like, people take years to build solid businesses, you know, and I've only been doing this for 10 months. So, like, obviously the most recent investment was another huge step up. But again, it's that, like, how can I add more value, like, to their experience? Because the more value, like, the more valuable their experience is, they're going to stay with you longer. They're going to invest in all the things that you do. They'll buy your products, buy a hoodie, like all bits and pieces, like, and they'll tell people about you because you're doing the best that you can for them. And then at the end of that, on the 7th of April, you go, okay, well, I've got a wee bit left, I can do this. Like,
I need to spend some cash on myself quick.
Yeah, 6 days to go. But yeah, I think it's really important that, as you say, I think people maybe come in with the wrong motivation as well. Maybe like they're motivated by doing what they do for that reward, like a kind of materialistic object, essentially. But it feels good to be on the other end of this, like having never been motivated to be a business and make money. Like that was never the reason why I started doing what I did, and it was just it just came with doing something really good and doing it really well, and I think that's important. So I think, yeah, a lot of people come in with the wrong motivations. I think as well, like you see, like all these professionals as well, like sitting with their MacBooks, like okay, we've all got good equipment. Like anyone that's going to be like,
speak for yourself.
I know, but no, like you're going to invest. I mean, at some point, like, you know. So, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, it just flicked onto your laptop, I think.
Fine, that's fine. So at some point that's going to happen, you know, and so yeah, it's like they sit and they're like, look at me, flashy MacBook, like, okay, like we all have computers. Like,
who gives a shit?
Can't stand that when it happens. So
yeah, especially when that fancy laptop is probably leased and they pay £12 a week for the next 7 years or something. It's going to cost them about $4,000 in just because they needed to have the fancy laptop.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. And I tell you, when you break it, you're in trouble, because that's why I'm currently on my iPads, because fixing MacBooks isn't fun.
No.
So anyway,
my last question, and like most of my questions, I don't think it even is a question. Josh is laughing because he's seen it 1,000 times.
Oh no!
I don't think I've ever asked a question in my life. Doing the maths, 1,200 odd people, 10 a month. Like, are you pushing not far off 150 grand a year? That is a big income. Okay, there's costs and there's tax and blah 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 blah. It's way above average, and it is a very, very, very successful, financially successful business. However, you at the heart of it there's a fork in the road. You could go down this road and look at how brilliant you are, how much you've achieved, and start spunking money on fun stuff. However, you are investing in yourself from an education point of view. You're doing a master's in physiotherapy. So prioritizing development, like professional development, and I'm assuming that will only help you in terms of bringing on a demographic of people that have got musculoskeletal injuries or problems that need dealing with. And you also, you've done most of this, I'd say 80-90% of it you've done yourself with no mentoring or coaching. However, as we've discussed offline, in the last couple of months, once you've gone over the 1,000 client mark, you've then paid a mentor in the form of, can I say his name?
I think so. Yeah, there's no reason why not.
It rhymes with bark poles. But just in case we're not allowed to say his name.
No, I think it's fine. I don't.
Yeah,
think
it should be. So you use Mark Coles as your mentor, somebody who we've got lined up to come on the show at some point shortly, I'm sure. But again, someone who's got 10 clients refuses to invest in a mentor to help them get to 15. Yet you had 1,000 clients, and then you thought, I need to invest in someone to help me to go to the next level, or to help me enhance the quality of what I'm providing. My question, if I get loosely around to it, would be something along the lines of, why is it that you're prioritizing things that from the outside looking in, people think you don't need?
That's quite interesting, actually. I think my problem was I got to December and was maybe witnessing everybody setting up goals for New Year, and I was like what's next for me? And I really questioned it, and I was like,
like I don't know what to do now. And at that point, I've never felt like that. Like I'd never felt like being unsure or unclear about the direction I was going in. And yeah, I mean, I guess that obviously all the things that I'd done myself are completely necessary, and I probably could have continued without it. But business or mentoring in general is not an easy thing to do or to find. And I think this goes back to my flashy products. I said this again to you previously, Mark, is just there's so many people, and it's like they're so pushing this, like, I'll help you create a 6-figure business. I'm like, please stop, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. But whereas I'd followed Mark for so long, and you just know when your values sit with somebody, and I knew that someone was telling me straight up if something wasn't good or if something wasn't right, and it wouldn't be being a bit bush about it. But I think what's really important is if someone maybe does get a business mentor, is they focus on the bigger things. And what I mean by that is that he was able to identify a lot of personal problems that I carried that could be holding me back from further. And that's maybe what was next. You know, like I've never been in money. I've never experienced money. And it's not to say that I'm going to be stupid with it, because I certainly haven't, because I've obviously reinvested a lot of it back in. But having somebody potentially identify your own self-development blocks and focus on you, the person, rather than just being like, let's build a business. Do you know, like, how can we help you become more confident in you, that your posts become like X, Y, and Z, or because if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to hold yourself back. Like, so a lot of times I didn't find that mentors or coaches would focus on more holistic things, and it would just be about making money. Like, that's great, but if somebody is like got really bad anxiety, or if they experience X, Y, and Z, well, they're not going to do any of that. Like, they're not going to do what you're trying to get them to do without sorting out their own problems, like from a personal development point of view. So although Mark is a business coach, from a personal level, the stuff that he has potentially taught me has been absolutely valuable. Like, stuff that no one's ever going to teach me that. Like, no one teaches you stuff like that. You know, like, how do you become more confident, or how do you believe in yourself, or how do you explore the stuff that you had experienced as negative, but how has that been like, how can you be more grateful for that negative experience now, because it's actually made you a better person? It's actually put you in this position. If you hadn't experienced a negative situation, you wouldn't have gained from it now. So
I was going to say, so rather than resenting something that happened in the past that you might think, oh, if only that thing hadn't happened 10 years ago, what can you do to turn that into a positive? Well, because that shit thing happened, it's made me more, it's improved my bullshit radar, so now I'm not going to trust dickheads as easily.
Yeah,
for example.
that's it. And it kind of then turns into understanding your own values and yourself, and then it really helps you then portray your message better, because you have a deeper understanding of who you are, what you've experienced, what positive things can come out of all the things that you have experienced that maybe haven't been great, but actually have served a purpose. And working on stuff like that, I just think has been so valuable, because I never would have, like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of business element to that as well, but I would never have done stuff like that at all. And I think that's the stuff that I was missing, is someone to, from an outsider's perspective, completely unbiased, identify things that I would never have and people around me wouldn't, well, to some degree, but basically say, right, this is how you can improve that. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
It absolutely does, and it's the answer that I wanted to hear. And it just like the reason I went down that little potential rabbit hole is because of the amount of people you see that don't invest in themselves. They get an element of success, or what they deem to be success, and then they're like, don't go on any courses, don't learn any new material. I refuse to pay for a mentor or a coach, whatever you want to call them, because I don't need it. Look at me, I'm brilliant. I've got everything. And I've been banging this drum for years and years and years. I just think no matter how good or successful you are, like, it just reinvest in yourself. For me,
and so many different ways. And if, from an education point of view, touching on that, there is, the minute you become a qualified PT is like just passing your driving test. Like, you don't learn to drive until you drive. Like, and I think if anyone has the attitude that that's them qualified, that's it, like, you failed. Like, you need to continuously educate yourself, and I actually really enjoy it. Like, I think it's really, I don't like not knowing things. I think that's my problem, is I don't like not understanding why, so that's a big thing. And also, I think physio for me is just like that last piece of the puzzle, like being able to help people that are broken and in pain, and from a general population point of view, because I know that, like, where I stay, potentially people might not be able to afford it, or what I identify in the physio world is a lack of accountability and adherence, and that's why people don't get better. So yeah, that's going to be my last piece of the puzzle. But yes, absolutely, you need to continuously reinvest. And I actually applied for my masters as a laugh, one of these things, and I thought, I'll never get in. Like, there'll be 300 applicants and 20 spaces, and then I got an email and I was like, oh shit. Because again, that came from an element of not thinking I could do that. Like, I mean, I got a bachelor's degree through the Open Uni, like, so there's no excuse. Like, people do not have excuses, unless obviously I know a lot of money goes into these things. In Scotland, you get free for bachelor's, not masters. But like, I was able to get a free bachelor's. Like, listen to that sentence, like, a free bachelor's degree. Why would you not do that? You know, like, I know that some people might not want it, but for me, I was like, well, why am I not going to do that for 3 years? I don't have higher education. And that qualification and my experience in the fitness industry is what got me into my master's, not hires or A-levels. So I think it is really important that people continuously reinvest into education. There's so many good courses now. Like look at Gary's course. Like, that's one I definitely need to do as well. Like, there's so many specialised bits now that people can go and do that are relatively okay, like affordability wise. And we should, I think, if you've got an opportunity when you've earned money to have money, I think before you go and spend £1,000 on I don't know, a watch, like, go and educate yourself further, like, because you become more valuable. Do you know, you'll learn even more. You'll learn £2,000 the next time because you're more knowledgeable. So anyway, yeah, I probably could talk all day, honestly.
No, honestly, it's music to my ears. And we look at this exactly the same way we'd look at it with a client. Let's say a client wants to lose weight. Let's say, right, okay, well, you're going to have to invest some time, effort, and money in yourself. If that's with my expertise or Josh's or Robyn's, but you're going to have, because just sitting at home trying to do it yourself hasn't worked. So you're going to have to invest time, effort, and money, and then you're going to have to be consistent, and you're going to have to be patient. It's not going to happen next week, but in 6 months, we're probably going to be able to see a real big difference, and then it'll all be worth it. And the same PT that says that to every single client every single day doesn't then always invest time, effort, and money into their own self-development, isn't prepared to be consistent for long enough and patient enough to allow that to blossom and pay dividends for them. There's such a big disconnect between what we expect the clients to do to achieve their success, yet we have blinkers on when it comes to our own self. For me, every single personal trainer should have a personal trainer and should also have a business coach. I don't mean a £500 a month, like fucking Hollywood bullshit mentor. Even if it's someone you pay £100 a month, and for that £100 a month, you get a bit of business mentoring and you get one PT session, and you just all you've got to do is make yourself a bit better that month and earn £100 back. I don't think it's that difficult.
No, and I think the most important thing is that, like, people could be threatened by spending time with people that are better than them. And I don't mean better as in, like, I'm more superior than you. I mean as in more, like, have more life experience, more knowledge. And I think it's one of the best things that you can do is be surrounded by people that have more of that than you are, rather than being, and I think that's maybe what led me to leave as well, like my job in 2019, is because the people that were better and more educated had gone, they'd moved, and I then became that person. I didn't have people to bounce off of and learn and absorb things from, like, because that gone. So I think it's so important, like, even to be coached, like if you're PT and getting coached by another PT, like, you learn how to communicate with people, you might learn how to create a spreadsheet, like simple things that I know obviously, like, but people might not know how to do that. They might learn different check-in, like, ways, and just, like, so many different things. I definitely believe that, I mean, having all these coaches over the past, like, 5 years of my life has taught me how not to coach as well. Like, so that's a good thing.
Well, you better not be including me in that.
No, don't worry. I'll not name any names. Yeah, we won't go down that road. But yeah, I think it's important. You learn, and whether it's positive or negative, I guess. But I think if someone can invest, even as you say, just a small bit into, I mean, you could be group coach, like there'll be cheaper group coaching options. There's just so much out there, and I just think that people should be doing it. Yeah, you just can't stop learning. I think the minute you stop learning, you're in trouble, because everything is so evolving, and there's so much to be learned. It's great. Although I'm never doing anything else after this master's ever again. I am finished with learning. Say that PhD and I'm like, right, what's next? No, I
might as well do another one.
Absolutely not.
Robyn, now we've established the importance of learning.
Yeah.
It's time for me and Josh to learn one final little bit about you.
I'm so excited for this.
Are you? Well, normally at this stage, we do the mass debate section, and trust me, I get very excited about that. But I just, we've shipped that one out of the way because we thought we'll save that for another day so we can talk about your business a little bit more. So you don't have to mass debate with us. That's 2 words, by the way, not 1 word. However, you are going to have to read your 3 statements. Josh, have you grown, or is that cup shrunk?
I've grown. I'm on a massive amount of growth hormone, so this is actually a 2-litre cup.
Josh is on fucking intravenous bloody steroids.
Yeah, man. It's all the food, man. Look, this is my lunch.
Jesus, who has a bucket of lunch? Unless you eat at KFC.
Well, yeah, good shout.
Oh, do you know what? I fucking love a KFC. Probably
So
my favourite fast food.
Mark, when you come down to visit, when lockdown's lifted, we'll get a big old KFC delivered to the office. We can swing some kettlebells. I've got them just here. And we can eat KFC with greasy hands.
Some wangs, some kettlebell swings.
Do you know what I did? Speaking of being honest, last week I had to go down to Southampton head office to record some stuff for a course. And on the way back, I was getting a bit peckish. And I was like, oh, I know my dinner's going to be ready when I get home, but I'm fucking starving. So I called in. I was like, there's a KFC coming up at this service station. Drive through, so I haven't got to get out of the car. I went in and I had my heart set on a bucket for 1 person, like the little mini boneless bucket for 1, because that's my go-to order. However, on the banner next to the ordering thing was this new fancy burger, and I was like, oh, that looks good. And then the lady was like, can I take your order, please? And I panicked. I was like, fuck. So I ordered the fancy new burger. And then she was like, is there anything else you'd like? And I was like, yeah, can I have the boneless bucket for 1 as well, please? She was like, okay, no problem, sir. Are they meals? Yes. Fuck. what drinks would you like? Oh, 7-Up. And I fucking ate both of them. I ate both meals, and then when I got home, I had to have my dinner. I ate 3 meals in about an hour and a half.
That is an honourable effort. I'm very proud of you as an ex.
It's actually really impressive, actually, to be honest. I've done a few things like that. You know, when like you would, I don't know, you would make your own dinner and then your mum would be like, "Do you want to come for dinner?" You're like, "I can't say no." So have 2 meals.
So Mark,
I will eat twice.
Mark, when you come here, there's this. I've been wanting to do a 10 cheeseburger challenge with someone and film it for UK PTs and PT Toolbox, just because I think it'd be really fun. So 10 McDonald's cheeseburgers as quickly as possible. I think when you come down, maybe or we can go KFC.
No, try it. Cheeseburgers. I'll give it a go. I don't know if I can do all 10. Do you know what? Right, when I was about 13, we got the bus into Norwich with some mates and had a Big Mac. And then I was like, oh, I fancy another. I had another Big Mac. And my mates were like taking the piss. So I went and had another. I had a 3rd Big Mac. I think I've got up to 6.
That is horrendous. That is disgusting.
Yeah, but I was only like 13. I must have been growing. And do you know what I did a few years ago when I was living in China? A mate of mine who, my rugby captain, he was in a neighbouring city and he came over for like a weekend to where I was. We went into Hooters in the morning, had a fry-up. They came to take the empty plates afterwards, and she was like, "Can I get anything else for you?" And I was like, "Can we have 2 more breakfasts?" She was like, "What, 2 more?" So we had 2 more full breakfasts. And then as we came back, so we'd eaten 2 whole breakfasts each. And then I was like getting 90% through my second breakfast. I was like, "Mate, do you know what? I think I could do another one." And he was like, "Fuck off." I was like, "Honestly, I think I can do another one." He's like, "Well, if you do, I do." So she came back to get our second plates and she's like, "Is there anything else?" I was like, "Can we have 2 more breakfasts, please?" And she's like, "Fuck, come on, you're joking." I was like, "Seriously, just give us 2 more breakfasts." So we had 3 cooked breakfasts back to back to back. Anyway, Robyn.
Hi, let's do this.
Your 3 statements. Put your best poker face on so the YouTube
I
viewers.
really hope I can.
If it helps, you can like tilt the camera up to the ceiling or something.
No, I think I've got quite a good poker face.
Okay, let's see it.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
So, I had an emergency appendix removal when I was 10. I got to meet David Attenborough.
Yeah.
And I abseiled down the Forth Road Bridge.
Josh. They're good ones, by the way, because they're all very realistic.
I told you, I put so much effort into this.
So I'm gonna try and use what I learned from watching, 10 seasons of Criminal Minds last year in like 4 weeks. And the only time you didn't look at the camera then was when you said the David Attenborough one. So I think the David Attenborough one is true.
She might have a picture of David Attenborough hugging her behind the camera. She might have been looking up in admiration, reflecting upon it.
Mark, what do you think?
I think you probably had your appendix out when you were like 15 or something. There's truth in it, but I think you've moved the goalposts. I think you didn't ever meet David Attenborough, but you probably sat on Rolf Harris's lap or something like that. So you're just getting your old school TV presenters the wrong way around. I think you probably abseiled off the Forth Bridge. Because I think when we went all the way back to the very start, when we were chatting off camera and you said you lived in Fife, and I said, over the Firth of Forth, and mentioned the bridge, and I reckon you squirmed away from that line of conversation quite quickly. And I'm happy to be extremely wrong.
Okay, did I tell you the answer now?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, Josh is right.
Oh, fucking hell. That's about 4 in a row he's got now.
Oh, it was so good that you totally noticed. Do you know if you always know someone's lying as well as when they look away? I've learnt that from all my TV watching. But
Yep.
when I had said that I worked in a really prestige venue, at that point I stopped talking because I worked for the Royal Society of Edinburgh on George Street in Edinburgh, and I was a catering supervisor, and David Attenborough was doing a talk in the Royal Society, so I got to see his talk and obviously serve him food. So there you go.
Wow.
Very good. Excellent.
Very cool.
I called, we had Marvin Burton on a couple of weeks ago, and I called him out for looking away, and he was like, no, mate, it's just where my fucking notes are that I'm reading from.
That's funny, but I've never had my appendix out, and I've never abseiled.
You just made them up completely?
Yeah, just completely made them up.
Well played. Very well played.
Done,
Josh could even be back in the lead now. I took an early, it was like the hare and the tortoise. I shot my load after about 5 episodes, and I've barely got it up since.
Wow.
Other analogies are available.
Yes. So, I think for today, I think we're nearly running at 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I think it's probably a good place to wrap it up. But Robyn, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really valuable. If there's anything that we can ever do to help you in your journey, just let us know. And thanks for everything.
Thank you for having me on. I do hope it has been valuable for sure, but it's been really good to chat. As you can tell, I like to chat lots, so I could just sit here all day and just chat.
Oh, if Josh goes off to eat his bucket of salad, me and you can keep talking all day. That's not a problem.
I know. Well, sadly, I've got uni at 2:00, so.
Yeah, no, I've got another interview at 2:00 as well. But Robyn, thank you so much for your time. We'll definitely chat in future in like 6 months or whatever, and sort of see where you're at now. And for me, in a brief summary, I was writing stuff down as we were going along there, and there's absolutely nothing in the list of summary items that is beyond the reach of even the most average or the most beginner of personal trainers. It's just getting your priorities in the right order, like emphasizing the value for the client, not just chasing the dollars, but if you do a good enough job of serving a community, and if you're honest and genuine enough and you're brave enough to just fucking be yourself and not put all these barriers and like filters in place, then you will be rewarded with the metric of finance. But there are other ways of gauging success, and I think you've hit so many nails on the head. If there's a PT listening to this that doesn't relate to it, then I think they're barking up the wrong tree well and truly, because it's an extremely ordinary person who is delivering like an extraordinary business and thriving, probably better than 99.9% of all fitness professionals over the last 12 months. And it's not beyond the reach of any of us to focus on those same things and concentrate on them, not the bullshitty stuff.
Absolutely. That's the one.
Cool. Robyn, thank you very much for your time, and we will speak again shortly.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem at all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. Don't forget to check back weekly for new episodes. If you want to join the UK's largest Facebook group for personal trainers, just search for UK PTs.